Godzilla, not just an icon of post-World War II movies, not just a monster movie icon, he's one of the most recognizable movie icons of all time. The name of Godzilla has spread like wildfire, and no wonder he is a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. And now 65 years later, we review the history of Godzilla. Also, quick side note, I am not good at saying the names of the monsters, so expect that out of me. What's up, visitors? Tank here, and this is Discovery Park Studios. And let's just walk right through Tokyo and wait for that Shin Godzilla roller coaster at Tokyo Station to finally be built. Now that is an April Fool's joke I can get behind. The first era of Godzilla films was the Showa Era, which lasted 21 years from 1954 to 1975, and that's where we'll be starting our journey. The first Godzilla film was released on October 27th of 1954, with a wider release in America 2 years later. The name was Gojira in Japan, and the American title was Godzilla King of the Monsters, not the 2019 film. The film follows Gojira as he destroys many places in Japan with the Big G himself, a metaphor for nuclear weapons. His reign is short-lived after Dr. Serizawa sacrifices himself with an oxygen destroyer and turns him to bone. But watch out, because less than a year later, in 1955, Godzilla Raids Again releases. The film follows a possible relative to Gojira as he gets in a deadly battle with Anguillus, the spiky turtle thing that has become a fan favorite ever since. Anguillus is defeated and Godzilla gets trapped in ice and snow. For a few years, Godzilla was in a hiatus as he was not the colossal monster movie character yet at the box office. Meanwhile, Toho released two kaiju movies named Sora no Daikaiju Radon and Mothra. Those two movies introduced audiences to Rodan, the fire monster, and Mothra, Queen of the Monsters. Also in America, a film where King Kong clashed with the Frankenstein monster was in early development. And I mean so early in development that Toho managed to intercept it and replace Frankenstein with Godzilla. And what was the conclusion? King Kong versus Godzilla. The two monsters of cinema clashed for the first time, with neither dying. Kong may have returned to his home island, but Godzilla hid in the sea until his next film 2 years later, after tumbling into the ocean. In Mothra vs. Godzilla, Gojira is washed ashore by a typhoon and attracts Mothra by attacking one of her eggs. They both clash in a deadly battle where Mothra dies, but then two larvae hatch from her egg and follow Godzilla to his island and cover him with poisonous silk, and he tumbles into the ocean. In Ghidorah, the three-headed monster, which released not too long after Mothra vs. Godzilla, in the film, Ghidorah lands on Earth through a meteorite and starts terrorizing Japan. But then Rodan erupts from a volcano, Godzilla rises from the sea, and a Mothra larva comes to Japan as well. Those three team up against the alien creature to beat him up a lot. Also while having fun. But Ghidorah disappears after falling into the ocean. In the sequel, Invasion of Astro Monster, Godzilla and Rodan are taken to Planet X to fight Monster Zero. The monster ends up being King Ghidorah, still alive. Then all three of them are taken under mind control and are sent to destroy Earth, but once out of their control, they turn on them, with Gojira and Rodan falling into the ocean with Ghidorah flying back to space. Also, Godzilla learns to dance. In Ibra, Horror of the Deep, Godzilla fights a giant crab. A giant crab. Wow, originality. He defeats the crab by ripping his claws off, and Ibra escapes into the sea. Meanwhile, Godzilla narrowly avoids an exploding island. In Son of Godzilla, Gojira gets himself an adopted son. It helps him use his atomic breath and beat up other monsters. Never knew that teaching to beat up others would be a normal thing for a film to have as a weird story. In the sequel, Destroy all monsters, Godzilla, Rodan, Mothra, Godzilla's son Minilla? How do you pronounce that? Anguillus, Gorosaurus, and Komanga are taken under mind control. Once free of their mind control, as always, they destroy the aliens who put them under mind control and finally kill King Ghidorah altogether. Then all monsters attack, which is not a fitting title, as it follows Minilla as he learns to fight against his bullies, even though all of this is inside of a little kid's head. A really, really weird way to have a movie. In Godzilla vs. Hedorah, the Big G is challenged by the smog monster, fed off of pollution, and was a terrifying creature, and still the movie looks very scary. Also, Godzilla learns to fly in this movie. The most weird and original way to ever make a monster fly. Godzilla vs. Gigan is a film where Anguillus and Godzilla are forced out of Monster Island from a call from Godzilla Tower. Then they both fight Gigan and King Ghidorah, who's surprisingly still alive. They are both forced back into space after Godzilla and Anguillus team up against them. In Godzilla vs. Megalon, a size-changing robot is built named Jet Jaguar. But meanwhile, Megalon, a cyborg, arrives to combat him, and soon Godzilla and Gigan join the battle in an epic battle to the death. Then, as always, Megalon and Gigan retreat. Also, Godzilla performs a long-distance dropkick. In Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla, the G-Man protects an ancient god named King Caesar from a robot version of Godzilla made by aliens, after using magnetic powers. In the sequel, Terror of Mechagodzilla, Godzilla faces off against another Robozilla and wins again as always. Also, the Titanosaurus is a part of this movie. This is the last film of the Showa Era, and the next time Godzilla returns is over 9 years later, in